Hi, I want to recommend this year's All Iowa Reads book, which is Little Wolves by Thomas Maltman. I'm really excited about this book. I happen to be on the committee that chooses the All Iowa Reads book every year, and this is one of my favorites. And we had Thomas Maltman in the library for a program recently. He was fantastic. If you missed the program, watch for it on Channel 10. Little Wolves is set in Minnesota. We try and pick a book that has some Midwestern connection for the All Iowa Reads book. It's a small town that the incident that starts the whole book is a teenage boy takes a shotgun, saws it off, hides it in his coat, and goes downtown and shoots the sheriff dead, and then kills himself in a cornfield. And you would think that would be the end of a story, but it's really the beginning of a story because it unfolds why the father of this boy goes on a mission to try and figure out why his son would do such a horrible thing. And there's more to the story than you think. The second story that goes along with that is the pregnant wife of one of the new ministers in town. Her name is Clara, was this boy Seth's English teacher, and she felt she had made a connection with him, and she also wants some answers about how this could have happened. She happens to be in this town because her mother died nearby when Clara was just an infant, and her father told her interesting tales. There's a lot of mythology, the Beowulf story bound up into the story that's in this book. So I recommend it to everybody. It's a great book discussion book, but it's also just a great book to read on your own. I brought a few other All Iowa Reads books today because I think they're all good, otherwise we wouldn't have picked them. David Rhodes' Driftless was a choice several years ago, and I specifically want to talk about this one because I just read, it's not really a sequel to Driftless, but it takes place in the same small town in Wisconsin, and it has a few of the same characters a few years advanced, and that book was called Jewelweed. So read Driftless and then read Jewelweed. They are just wonderful stories. You will feel like you know the people in these books. It's great. Another All Iowa Reads book that's one of my favorites is, they're all my favorites, Sing Them Home, which is set in Nebraska, another Midwestern state. And it follows the story of a family whose home has been destroyed by a tornado. And I can't remember exactly what year we picked this book, but it was not too many years after the tornado that went through Iowa City. And again, the tornado hit my house, so I felt some, relationship with this family. And of course, family secrets come out and things are revealed because that's what literature does. A book that doesn't have a Midwestern theme exactly, not set in a Midwestern state, but one we picked, Digging to America by Ann Tyler, tells the story of an adopted child, and certainly those kinds of things happen in Iowa, and the difficulties that it traces the story of two families, both of who adopt daughters from China about the same time. Great book. And an Iowa book, The Year We Left Home by Jean Thompson. The opening scene in this book is a wedding in a small town, Iowa, and they get married in a small church. They go to, I can't remember if it's the American Legion Hall or someplace, and that's where the reception is and the big pans of food. And I swear I have been at that wedding. I don't think it was my wedding, but it was awful close. So occasionally we pick nonfiction books, so I brought two of the ones we've had for All Iowa Reads. Strength in What Remains by Tracy Kidder, which is the story of a young man who lived through the genocide in Burundi and came to America, lived on the streets in New York City, had to learn English, ended up in medical school. It's really a very affirming story and, makes you realize how good we have it. And Splendid Solution, which is a nonfiction book about the search for a cure to polio, which I think, all of us have family members, older family members who lived in a time when polio was a real threat. I mean, I remember my mother, when I was a child, my mother would be anxious that we would go to the swimming pool and get polio. And I don't know what that connection was, but both of these nonfiction titles, I'm not much of a nonfiction reader, but they both read a little bit like fiction. So those are not all of the All Iowa Reads books. You should go to the website, just Google All Iowa Reads, and you'll get a complete list of all the books, and I think you'll enjoy every one of them.